Every neighborhood has a Karen. Ours was Karen Withers, the self-appointed neighborhood watchdog with a walkie-talkie clipped to her windbreaker and binoculars slung around her neck like a soldier on patrol. For her, the HOA wasn't a guideline. It was a crusade. So when Karen laughed from her porch as bulldozers rolled onto my property, she had no idea what she was really starting. Because while she thought she was clearing an unapproved structure, those machines had just crossed a federally protected perimeter. And I wasn't just a resident. I was Special Projects Officer Ryan Caldwell, Department of Homeland Security, and my home, a deep cover operations outpost for Tier 2 critical infrastructure monitoring. I moved to Glenbrook Meadows under full civilian cover. The house was unassuming, tan siding with a modest front yard and a garden shed out back. But underneath, a fiber-sealed basement with a live feed of critical infrastructure nodes across the western U.S. Bridges, tunnels, water grids, all encrypted, all off books. The shed? A disguised antenna array calibrated to track unauthorized signal clusters, essential for intercepting potential domestic interference or cyber-triggered attacks. Everything was cleared, everything was permitted, everything was federally secured, until Karen decided it wasn't aesthetically compliant. It began with an HOA citation. Unapproved external structures visible from the main road. Shed exceeds Visual Harmony Code Section 4.7b. I responded formally, attaching scanned federal exemption codes under the Class 7 Governmental Privacy Provisions Act. I added a line. This property is subject to federal jurisdiction. Modifications are not within your authority. Karen's reply was verbal and loud. Nobody's above the rules here. I don't care what kind of shed it is, it's coming down. And that's when she filed for immediate remediation. Friday morning, 7:42 a.m., two bulldozers pulled up at my gate. Karen watched from her porch, arms crossed, smug. She even called a few neighbors to come watch the takedown. The gate was locked, so they rammed it. Then the lead dozer rolled over the side path, past the flower beds, and made its way directly toward the shed. That's when they tripped it. Perimeter breach alert, level red. At exactly 7:47 a.m., two things happened. First, the underground relay system kicked on, sending encrypted pings to DHS servers in Washington. Second, a silent alarm triggered a satellite tether to redirect local federal assets. What the bulldozer had approached wasn't just a shed. It was wired with geo-fencing that, if disturbed, automatically escalated to Homeland Alert status. By 7:58 a.m., air traffic restriction was issued over Glenbrook. At 8:04 a.m., a black Suburban turned the corner. At 8:06, it was followed by four more. Karen was mid-laugh when the first federal agent stepped on her lawn. Ma'am, you need to stay inside your home. This is an active federal investigation zone. She turned red, sputtered, and insisted the HOA had every right to control outbuildings. She even pointed to the codebook, claiming I was harboring illegal technology. The lead agent didn't flinch. He held up a DHS badge and said, "You just authorized a breach of Restricted National Perimeter Code 97C. You and your board are now witnesses in a federal security compromise." The contractors were detained. The bulldozers impounded. Karen? She was escorted to her house and told not to leave town. Within 2 hours, a rapid response forensic team arrived to ensure the underground systems weren't compromised. Luckily, the bulldozer hadn't made contact, but it was within 4 feet of the critical node. One more pass, and Glenbrook would have made national headlines. 3 weeks later, Karen was removed from the HOA board. A federal lien was placed on the HOA itself pending litigation. Karen now faces civil charges for unlawful entry, reckless endangerment, and interference with federal surveillance infrastructure. Her HOA insurance refused to cover damages once the federal flag was raised. As for me, I've been relocated. The Glenbrook site is being decommissioned, but I left a message behind for Karen, tacked to the fence post next to the gate she destroyed. Not all fences are just fences. Some are warnings. She should have listened.